I was going to say good evening, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening from wherever you are around the world. Nice surprise for those who were not expecting commentary today, but yeah, I'm going to commentate today's race coverage of this Crest Autosport GT Cup. Not the first broadcast we've had, but it's the first with commentary, so you guys will be very glad to know that. So yeah, here we are, the Crest Autosport GT Cup. This is round 5 of the championship. We're here at the Dubai Autodrome. Quite a fascinating circuit is the Dubai Autodrome. It's not a very popular track on in terms of international racing. However, it has hosted for many years the 24 Hours of Dubai, I think it is. Very popular. It's very popular, so much that I know the exact name of it. I'll just double confirm that. 24 Hours of... Yes, it is. It is the 24 Hours of Dubai. Actually known as the Hankook 24 Hours Dubai. So yeah, it hosts that event every single year, and it also hosts a TCR series and an open wheel Formula 3 type series, but it usually only hosts its races in the winter. So for the winter, for Northern Hemisphere anyway, it would be January, February time. It hosts most of its races here at this circuit because, well, you guessed it, it's in the middle of a desert and a very hot country, so it has to host its races in the coldest period of the year, and even then it still gets pretty hot here. So a nice interesting bit of trivia for you. So here we are for the GT Cup here on Race Room, hosted by Crest Autosport. Let's see if I can bring up the schedule for this championship we're undergoing for the next couple of months or so. We've just passed over the halfway point in the championship, so it's we're quite a long way in now. 4 rounds in and 4 rounds to go, with the 5th round being here today at the Dubai Autodrome. Let's see if I can quickly grab the schedule on the screen for you. There we go. So we started off in July at Silverstone, which was the Grand Prix circuit. Then it was the Nordschleife, the huge layout of the 24-hour layout. So that included the pretty much 98% of the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit and pretty much 98% of the Nordschleife. So a very large track for round 2 of the championship. And round 3 was at Spa-Francorchamps, which of course is hosting the Formula 1 this weekend. And last time out we were at Imola. Today we're here at the Dubai Autodrome, and then in 2 weeks from today we'll be at Bathurst in Australia. Watkins Glen will host round 7, and that will be the inner loop without the chicane. And Interlagos, a very recently added track to Race Room, will host the final round of the championship on the 8th of October. So there we go, that's the schedule we're going to see for this season. And in terms of the championship, well, I won't be able to get anything on screen for you per se, because it's not quite as technical what we got right here for this championship compared to what we have for the World Touring Car Challenge, hosted on Thursdays, broadcast to this channel, of course. But I can read through the championship standings they head into tonight. At the top, it is Marius Zabdir, who is leading the way at the top of the standings, and there he is right now, leading the standings, and that's because he's won every single race this season. He's been unstoppable, and he's quite popular among the ranked races in GT3, so he does love these cars. He's very competent with these cars on Race Room, of course, and he's shown that by taking 4 wins, which means 4 top 3s. He's taken 4 poles as well. And to ruin the record, he hasn't got a fastest lap on every single race. Actually, Rocco Stabia got fastest lap on one of the races this season, but it's been a near perfect, pretty much perfect season so far for Marius Zabdir, who is new to the server right now, so he hasn't quite got a time on the board. This might well be an outlap we're looking at right now for Marius, so we'll come back to him very shortly. Second in the championship is Ruckers de Beer. So Marius is on 100 points, having scored 25 points in all rounds so far. Ruckers de Beer did take a round off round 3 at Spa, but he has finished second in every single race so far this season, holding second in the championship on 54 points, 46 points behind Zabdir at top. Third place is Anthony Chavalier for the Koos Porsche team. He's not racing here today. I don't think he's able to race the rest of the season, but he currently holds third on 48 points. Next in the championship is Gabrielle Lopez, fourth in the championship for the Falcon Porsche team. An iconic livery is the Falcon livery. He's on 26 points, fourth in the championship. Anastasios Georgiadis holds 5th in the championship on 20 points, with Maratib Ali holding 6th in the championship, myself holding 7th in the championship, Keshen Hall tied 7th, Ramiro Perez on 9th, and Paul Hans tied 9th position. We've got a couple of new drivers, a couple of drivers who are just outside the top 10 in the championship, will be making their way up as the season goes on. Ben Cisco is one of them, Lucas Toreschke is another, we have Colin McNally in the server as well as Carl Smith. A couple of new drivers tonight as well in the names of Andrea Bauccio at the top of the standings at the moment, very good time from himself. Ricardo Santos, Sham Arup. Quite a lot of new drivers to this series tonight. 10 drivers we've got hosting this race today. We're going to have more drivers in today, but a couple of drivers have unfortunately had to pull out today due to personal reasons and other reasons. But we should expect more drivers on the grid as the season goes by. It is filling up round by round, so it should be a pretty decent sized grid by the end of it, hopefully. So we are heading towards the end of practice here. So the way it works with these GT Cup races, it's very different to the World Touring Car Challenge that's hosted on Thursdays. We have a 1 hour practice, which is the norm, and then we'll go into qualifying. But qualifying in this series is 25 minutes, and it is an open session, so all drivers on the track at once for the 25 minutes. It'll be a 5-minute warm-up to precede the race. 5 minutes, and then we'll head into a 90-minute race, and that will include at least 1 pit stop for these drivers. Most drivers can get through these races on 1-stop strategy, and they all do need to take on, they do usually take on tyres. Some risk it to the end. You can risk not taking on tyres in your pit stop in these races, but it's not recommended is what I'm hearing, but it can be done. Can be done. And of course all drivers do need fuel during the race, and whether they go long on fuel or short on fuel, that is the interesting part of the strategies, as well as the risk on tyres, as I just mentioned. So it is quite interesting what drivers can do. But when we look at this track, we're not able to get a track map up on the screen. It doesn't work for us on our very reliable broadcast software. Hopefully it gets fixed one day. But yeah, the Dubai Autodrome, you can kind of see the track in the logo when we do pass the logo every now and again. It's kind of shaped like, a bit like Interlagos, but sort of inverted, reversed. It's a very fast track as we see Lucas head up the main straight here. We will head in, when we head into qualifying, we'll do a tour of the track. Ruckers de Beer, towards the end of this practice here, has taken the top spot in the session. We're still waiting for a time from Mario Zabdir. I wonder if he's learning the track. This looks like an invalidated time as he heads towards the end of the lap here. So he is just getting his practice in before the race starts, trying to make it interesting for himself, I see, because he's been so dominant so far this season. The only person who's been really close to him is Ruckers de Beer. He retires to the pits to get ready for qualifying. Quite a range of cars out there today as well, as we look to Colin McNally as we close the session to head into qualifying. We have got Chevrolets out on track, 2 Chevrolets to be exact. We have got 1 BMW. We have got two Mercedes AMGs, one of them we're looking at right now. We've got 1 Bentley out there. We've got 2 Nissan GTRs, 1 Porsche, and 1 Ferrari 488. So here we go, qualifying about to start. Timer ticking away. Drivers have 25 minutes to do their qualification laps to put themselves on the grid this upcoming race. So we can see Marius is in a hurry to get out on track. He wants a clear track ahead of him. It is Rockus to be not too far behind, and just behind is Andrea Bauccio, newcomer for today's race. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in this race today. They're in the Bmw M6. Another new driver today in the BWT DTM Mercedes is Ricardo Santos, and a lot of you may have seen him in the World Touring Car Challenge on Thursday. He's doing very, very well in that. He's, I think he's in the top 5 in the Category 2 Championship. So we'll see how he gets on today. A lot of drivers still in the pits at the moment. But we can look to drivers already out on track. 5 of the 10 out on track right now. And it's quite a long track here at the Dubai Autodrome. It's surprisingly quite a big track. It's over 5 kilometers in length, I believe. And it's a near 2-minute lap for these cars. It is well over 2 minutes for your touring cars, and for Formula 1 cars I'd say it's around about just over 1.5 minutes, I'd say, to do a lap of this track. Right, so let's get a tour of the track here. We can get on board with Rockets to Beer. I'm not sure if we can. It's preventing me from going on board, which is no good. Okay, so we will do our best to watch what we can of Rockets to Beer. So he heads across the line, heads down towards turn 1. Downhill braking into this right-hander, which is 3rd gear, and then easing on the throttle for this slight kick to the left, slightly sharper than that of Interlagos that I compared to the track to earlier. Near flat out around this right-hander here. You can make it flat out, but it's a double apex flat out right-hander, flat out left-hander, immediate braking into the next turn, right-hander of 3rd gear, and then braking as you turn into this next right-hander. And I think Marius has just gone off the track on the side there. And then ease it over to the right, and then a long left-hander, and braking whilst turning into this next corner. You've got to be very, very accurate on this corner to get a good exit, which Rockers seems to have done as you get onto the main straight here. A few cars up ahead there, starting their outlaps, but a very long straight here at the Dubai Autodrome. And as we head into the hairpin, sharp braking down the gears into 1st gear, in fact, for Rockers, and we see a car off there. That was Lucas Toreschke in the Bentley spun coming out of the hairpin. Left-hander here, not quite flat out, but 3rd gear as we head up the hill and towards another hairpin, which I believe will be 2nd gear. It is for Rockers. Right-hander here, and then another long stretch of road, slightly uphill as you come out the corner, and then you head down the hill into a flat-out left-hander, which will then proceed with braking into another sharp left-hander. Braking now into this left-hander, 2nd gear, hugging the apex all the way around. There's a corner that just seems to go on and on forever. And then into the right-hander, not quite flat out, but 3rd gear as we head up the hill towards the final corner, which is always more tight than you ever anticipate this corner to be. 2nd gear as we head round, and that is a lap of the Dubai Autodrome. A lot of corners on this track, a lot to think about and a lot to remember, and it's a particular challenge I find for a lot of people, this track, because it's not hugely familiar to people. Not many people have driven this track on many sims. It's not featured on many sims. I think it was featured on Forza Horizon. It might have been. I'm not quite sure about that. But I don't think it even features on like Gran Turismo or anything like that. Again, I might be wrong about that, but I have not seen this track on many sims. And you know what? It's not that popular, but it is a really fun track to drive. I've got to be honest. There's a lot of runoff areas. Yes, it's quite typical of the Middle Eastern and Asian tracks, such as your Bahrain's and Qatar and tracks like that. It can be quite a fun track to drive. It's very, for me, it qualifies as quite a capable track for Formula 1 racing, I would say. A long DRS straight. There's probably 3 DRS opportunities on this track if it was on Formula 1. A lot of elevation changes on this track. Quite a smooth surface as well. Yeah, if you are watching, let us know in the comments. Would you like to see this track in Formula 1 instead of what's it called? Yas Marina, I think. Yeah, the Abu Dhabi track that's currently in Formula 1. I know it's not a very popular track, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix circuit. Would you like to see this one represented as Dubai's staple in the Formula 1 calendar? We can see Rockers is really hooking it up on this track right now. We've still got drivers in the pits. Colin McNally and Ben Cisco are sitting in the pits right now. Not quite sure what they've got planned. They've got 19 minutes, however, to get themselves a lap in. So as Rockers heads across the line, it is still a 157.1, but Andrea Bauccio has put himself onto the leaderboard. 2.5 seconds down from Rocco, so we were able to see Andrea really do well in practice, but he hasn't quite hooked up the lap yet here in qualifying. 2.5 seconds down. We'll see if he can hook it up in the next few laps or so. Another driver on the leaderboard is Sham Arab of Malaysia, Prime Motorsport. New driver to the series. 13 seconds down at the moment, just trying to hook up a good lap at the moment is Arab. We've got Ricardo Santos has just put himself on the leaderboard, 2.5 seconds down ahead of Bauccio at the moment, but he puts himself up there, as does Carl Smith, 5 seconds off the pace. 4th place for him at the moment in the Chevrolet Corvette. So we're still waiting for times from this person in particular, Maria Zabdia, and I think this might be an out lap. Yeah, we're not quite yet through sector 1, so we'll see how this time lights up as he stretches over sector 1, which I think is on this straight. We'll see if a time comes up just beneath his name. Nothing's come up. It might well be an out lap. It might be. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. Colin McNally heading this at the moment. He pulls over to let by. I think that's Rockus. Yes, it is. Rockus will be more eager to get past him. In fact, it might have been an invalidated lap from Rockus. There's no split times are coming up for him. Also, Maris is going to get a little bit of a draft from Rockus here. I'm not a GT3 driver. I'm predominantly open wheel racing and touring car racing and rally driving, actually. So I'm not all that familiar with GT3 cars. Now, something I'm not quite sure of these cars is how they behave in dirty air. I'm not entirely sure if they benefit from it. In dirty air, do they understeer more like Formula 1 cars tend to, and Indy cars? Or do they thrive from it, quite like the touring cars do? I'm not entirely sure, so if anyone can let me know, please do. But we've got a sector... Oh, Marius has just exited to the pit, so he might have invalidated his time. He's not happy with what he's doing so far, though. Whereas other tracks, he was totally dominant over everyone. He's just not quite hooking it up yet here at the Dubai Autodrome, as him and Lucas Toreschke are back out onto the track. Now we've got Rogus de Beer. Let's see Well, now's a good opportunity to see when Sector 1 ends for myself, because I can't quite remember. The last time I drove this track was about a month ago in F2 cars. Good combo, by the way. There we go. We've just ticked over, and it is a... well, if we're led to believe this software, that is an outright best in Sector 1 at the moment. Meritive Ali has joined the service, and Meritive Ali will join this race, making it an 11-car grid, making it the biggest of the season. Hooray! Let's see how Rockers gets on in this sector here. I'm going to tick over to Andrea Bauccio very shortly. In fact, we'll do it now. He seems to be on an out lap or an invalidated lap at the moment, so still yet to see progress in qualifying for Andrea in comparison to his practice. Anyway, down in Sector 2 by the looks of it for Rockers de Beer. So 157.1 to beat. Final few corners. Now the final corner on approach. With the big hotel to his left as we head around this sharp corner to the main straight. He had a little bit of a draft then from Gabrielle Lopez ahead. Is it a 57.0? Well, it says at the bottom, but you have to trust the timing tower on the top left, and he hasn't improved his time by the looks of it. That last time was, in actual fact, a 57.3. I have no idea why the lowest timing section does that. No idea, but it does. But I will relay to you the actual time he set, and that time was just shy of 2/10 off of his personal best in this session at the moment. Colin McNally has put himself second at the moment. Good job from Colin, who's missed a few races this season, and he's been gutted about that. But Colin McNally got himself a 5th place in round 1 at Silverstone, and he's looking to get himself back on the ladder to climb up the standings as this season passes by now. Drivers who haven't set a time yet. Mario Zabdir hasn't set a time yet, our championship leader. Can it be broken? Can pole position be swiped away from him? He's taken pole position in every single race this season. He has won every race this season. Can it be taken away from him tonight? But he's one of the drivers who haven't put a lap in yet. Also, Lucas Toreschke in the Bentley. Now, he had a good race last time. I remember watching last time out at Imola. Lucas was having a very, very good race against Paul Hans. And they were pretty much nose to tail for the majority of the race. It was really, really good to watch. So head back and have a watch of that if you get a chance to. Ben Cisco yet to put a time in as well. But Ben Cisco is someone who suffers from a pretty nasty illness, to be fair. Struggles with health issues, and he just loves getting into his sim rig, just having some fun driving, but he does struggle with health issues. He's in pain at times while he's driving, so it's bravo to him for giving it a go every other Saturday for this series. He's quite a big fan of GT racing. He loves his Assetto Corsa Competizione as well as Race Room, so good to see him here today. And Mr. Controller, as he's referred to, but this is Meritive Ali. Bears the Mexican flag, but I believe he is from, in actual fact, he's from Pakistan, I think. He is anyway. So we'll see how he gets on. He's had a few good races this season. 6th in the championship, 8th in Silverstone for Meritive, and 4th at Spa-Francorchamps. He nearly caught me in that Spa race because I finished 3rd in that race. He did rather well. Mario Zabdir has put in his time, his one and only time he's had, and it is on the money almost straight away. He's put himself 2nd in the server right here. 7/10, 3/4 of a second off the pace of Rockers de Beer at the top at the moment. We'll see if he can improve things. Oh, as he goes wide there at turn 7, I believe it is. So he will go around the track to start a brand new lap. Tends to be the case with these GT3 cars. usually at their very, very best. Light fuel, less than half a tank, very light fuel, and when the tyres do about 2 or 3 laps, that's normally best for qualifying, is to put extremely light fuel in it. A little more about the track as we see drivers do a few more laps in qualifying with 10 minutes to go. This track is 3.35 miles in length, or 5.4 kilometers, so it's quite a lengthy track. I'm going to count how many corners there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 corners I count on this track. I argue there could be more or less, with certain kinks on the straights not being counted, perhaps, and certain corners counted as 1 rather than 2. Not entirely sure. But there are no, looking at a track map here, there are no corner numbers and there are no corner names. So it's very, very difficult to refer to corner names and numbers here at the Dubai Autodrome. It's quite a new track. 2004 it was built, so it's only 18 years old, this track. So it's a very new track. I suppose it's still growing into an internationally renowned track, but it does host some internationally renowned races such as the 24 Hours of Dubai. Oh, and a spin there from Arias. Pushed a little bit too hard out the corner and he reset just before he hit the wall there. Quite a tricky corner is that long left-hander at the end of Sector 1. It's very difficult in any car because it's a corner that just goes on and on forever and it tightens, and it's banked as well, which always just seems to catch you out. It's hard to get your exact line right in that corner. It's hard to get your exact corner speed correct. And it seems to be catching out a few drivers today, is what I'm noticing. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Andrea Bauccio has gone quicker. He's nipped ahead of Ricardo Santos and McNally. Into 3rd place he goes, which is 1 shy of where he was in practice. Doesn't seem... He did do a 57, I believe, in practice, so he isn't quite hooking up what he was able to do in practice. But there's still time. There is still time for the Italian to do it. Around this long left-hander here that we saw Marius spin at just a moment ago. Oh, going a little bit wide there. That's not going to help. He was out on the marbles there, and that would have dirtied up his tyres a little bit, and it would have ruined his lap. Yeah, he's miles off the pace in that first sector, so it hasn't quite worked out for him. So he'll go around again and start a fresh lap. He's got Colin McNally close to him, not anymore as he's reset to the pits, and Colin McNally's got a free track ahead of him to try and put in a lap. Oh, and the rear end stepping out there as he put down the accelerator pedal. The beautiful livery on the Mercedes here. One of my favourite liveries. I think it's yellow and green. I do struggle to distinguish between some yellows and greens. But a good showing so far from Colin here. 4th at the moment. The line goes Marius after here. He'll start a brand new lap here. We saw him reset to the pits after his spin. He's done an out lap and he's going to try it again. You've got to say, for some of these drivers, with it being quite a long lap, it is getting down to crunch time for when they've got to be out on track if they want to do another lap, because once the timer expires here at Race Room, it does not let you complete your lap, no matter how close you are to that finish line. I did a ranked race the other day at Nogaro in the WTCRs, and I was 5 meters from the finish line, and I was up by half a second on my original best, and I did not complete it, and I did not take pole position. I was quite annoyed about it, but that's what Race Room does. Up in Sector 1 by the looks of it for Marius. So apparently he's done a 49.93. Yes, if that is the absolute right time that he's done in Sector 1, it is currently quicker than Rockers de Beer. Now as we head to Sector 2. 125.9 is what he needs to be quicker than, if those timings at the bottom are true. He's approaching sector 2 split now. Oh, he looks like he's down. Yes, he is down, but not by much. 2/10 if that is correct. This could be very close. Sector 3 needs to be good. He broke a little later, I think, than Ruckus there, because he took a kind of a double apex approach to that corner and a slightly shallow exit to that corner, which means he can take that next corner quicker. And now breaking down the hill into this final corner. Can Marius Abdir put it onto pole position? Ruckus is out on track, so it's not over yet by a long stretch. Oh, look how close that is. Look to the timing tower. He's 10 hundredths behind Ruckus de Beer on what is near a 2-minute lap. That's an incredibly close battle there in qualifying here between the two. So Marius has backed off here. Oh, and there's a spin back there as well. Was that Ruckus? Yes, it was. Ruckus' lap has just been compromised a little bit there with the two drivers going slow up ahead. Oh, does he have enough time to get round and do another lap? Well, actually, having said that, Ruckus and Marius might miss the timing beam across the line to do another lap, and Marius has just set to the pits. So that's it. Ruckus de Beer, unless anyone else can disturb it, will take pole position here. Marius will not take a 5th consecutive pole position here at the Dubai Autodrome. But given how close those times are, Marius probably has more in the bag. More in the tank. He has not had many laps experience at this track. So we'll see what he can do. We'll see. Andrea Bauccio's in the pits as well. So Colin McNally really might be the only driver who can damage anything at this point. He's in sector 1, about to cross over into sector 2. 0.8 of a second off, so he's not going to threaten the top spot. Can he threaten 3rd spot, though? He's only 0.3 down on the timing board. Can he threaten? Oh, he's gone wide there. That will invalidate his time, and I think that might be it for Colin McNally. He will not be able to do another lap, or complete another lap, should we say, as he resets to the pits. Ricardo Santos. He's got time to complete this lap. And he's on a timed lap right now. Let's see what he can do. He's half a second off Colin McNally, but he's more than half a second clear of the next position down, which is Lucas Toreschke. Ricardo will be pleased with the top 5 in his debut to this GT Championship. He has brought some teammates along with him to the championship, but they're both not able to race today. That's Ria Sosa and Pedro Santos. Not sure if Pedro is related to him, or they just share the same surname. A bit like Jones in Wales, really. Everyone's called Jones in Wales. Jones, as they pronounced it. Okay, so sector 1, if it, I think if it's green, it means he's up on his personal. That's good. Green in sector 2 means he might be up on his personal still. Let me just check. Yeah, by the looks of it, he's half a second up. This could be very close to threatening Colin McNally's 4th place spot. I did notice going through that corner then, he had to back off. As he was heading towards the exit, he powered down a little too early, which would have compromised him a few tenths. Oh, a little bit wide going through the final corner there. Had to put down the throttle a little bit later on. Did he get off the curb in time? He did, and he's up to 4th position. Here's Ricardo Santos. He did manage to hook it up, and it's so close between them two. Likewise with 1st and 2nd, but Ricardo puts it into 4th position on his debut to the championship. Less than 2 minutes to go, so anyone who crosses the line now will be completing their laps. Ben Cisco puts it into 8th position, and we are looking at Maritib Ali here as well. He is on a lap as well. He's on a personal best. Might be able to squeeze in front of Gabrielle Lopez or Ben Cisco if he can hook up the rest of the lap. Sham Arab is also on a time, but it's not personal best out of sector 1. Let's look to Maritib Ali. Let's see what he can do. In the Chevrolet. And up towards the final corner. see. It's personal best Sector 2 as well, I forgot to mention. This could well be a big improvement, and it is. It goes to 9th place, past Gabrielle Lopez, and Gabrielle Lopez is 4th in the championship heading into tonight. So Gabrielle will have his championship position under a little bit of threat tonight if the qualifying times are anything to go by. But Maritif would be happy with that. He squeezes into 9th position. And there we go. There are our qualifying times. Rockers de Beer, pole position for the first time this season, with Maria Zudbeer in 2nd position. Andrea Bauccio will line up in 3rd position. 4th to Ricardo Santos, with Colin McNally in 5th position. Lucas Toreschke 6th, followed by Carl Smith. Ben Cisco 8th, with Maritif Ali in 9th, Gabrielle Lopez 10th, and Sham Arab in 11th. Lining up the grid. We have got 5 minutes before the race starts, so we are going to go for a quick commercial break. We'll be back with the race very shortly. The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com. Welcome back everyone, and this is the Crest Autosport GT Cup on Race Room. We're about to head into the race. Drivers will grid up for what will be this 90-minute race around the Dubai Autodrome. 5th round of the championship, and as we mentioned, 3 rounds to go after today. This is the halfway point of the season. As we start to grid up, this is drivers' last opportunity to get the right fuel in the car, decide their strategy, decide their strategy anyway for the race, whether they go long with the fuel, or whether they go short with the fuel, or medium with the fuel. What Racing was quite doing is simulating tyre wear. Certain tracks are worse than others. Certain driving techniques and mistakes to cost that tyre wear. So here we go, we are on the grid, lights are red, we're about to get underway for this first race, for this opening race, for this race of the day. And we are away. 90 minutes starts now. Looks like a pretty good start from Rocky Stabia as we head up towards turn 1. Looks like a good start as well from Ricardo Santos. He's in the pink Mercedes on the inside of Colin McNally, but McNally has also had a pretty good start by looks like he's on the outside of Andrea Bauccio. But into turn 1 we go. Can the drivers get through safe and sound? Oh, and Colin McNally battling with Pessoa Santos, both in Mercedes. Oh, and having to back off there was Pessoa Santos. But running slow on the exit there was Colin McNally, and there was contact between the two of them, but they just about got away with it. Back to the front, close between Roger Stabia and Maria Zabdir. Here we are on the helicam just to get a good view of this racing as we head round to lap 1 of this race. Close between the two of them, taking different lines through this quite wide track with long sweeping corners, banking changes and elevation changes. Heading up this straight here, Marius, can he gain enough on Rockus to get a move going into the hairpin? Not by the looks of it. As we head into the hairpin, drivers taking care as they head through. Oh, we got a big move there from Maritib Ali on the inside of Ben Cisco, and that might have taken away 7th place, but Ben Cisco is fighting back on the outside here, holds it round the outside, goes a little bit wide, but Maritib Ali will hold the position, taking 7th place away from Ben Cisco on this opening lap here. McNally close to Andrea Bauccio. He got himself past Ricardo Santos, who swiped away 4th in qualifying in the dying moments of the session, but he swiped 4th away on the track in the race here, which is the all-important one, of course, because this is the race that gets you points. Bauccio I think it is pronounced actually, is dropping away a little bit from the top 2. Slow down penalty there for Colin McNally. Slow down penalties are quite easy to shake off in this game, so not too much to worry about. What we need to look out for is drive-through penalties and that sort of thing. Andrea Bauccio moves to the inside here. Is he trying to serve a slow down penalty or break the slipstream? I think it's breaking the slipstream here from Colin McNally. At the front, Roger Stabia leads a lap here at the Dubai Autodrome, the first of what could be about 45 laps here. It'll probably be more than that, it'll probably be more like 50, 55. Maria's chasing down, and this could be a very interesting race between these two because they're actually quite on par in pace. Ricardo Santos to the inside of Colin McNally. McNally provides a bit of room, but there's a bit of door-to-door contact between the two as they head out of the corner. Oh, McNally moves over, and there is contact more between Santos. It looked like the Colin McNally was not sharing enough the track there, but he holds the position. He goes a little bit wide coming out of the corner. Heading out the corner, the two Mercedes are nose to tail as they head down the straight here, and Santos will get the best of the slipstream here, but back there they've got to also worry about Toreschke, and also at the front here we've got Zabdir on the outside of Rocker Stabia as we head through the hairpin there. Rockers hangs on to the position. Oh, to the inside goes Marius, and there is contact between the two, and a spin from Rockers. Marius hits the side of him, and they're going to let by cars. There they go passing by. Andrea Bauccio would take the lead, and the contact between the two of them, it has not worked out. It looked like, we can't go for a replay because Racing doesn't provide instant replays for us, but it looked like the Marius put his nose to the inside, and it looked like it wasn't there long enough or enough, and Rockers simply did not know he was there and turned into the corner, but they're still battling now. So it carries on between these two, but they drop positions. This is not the kind of positions that they've been in this season so far. So it's now a four-way fight at the front, it seems. Quite a gap between Santos and Bauccio as Bauccio breaks away, and he'll lead a lap here on his debut to the championship. Two debutants are top two right now in this race. Quite an interesting and dramatic start to this race here at Dubai Autodrome for a three-way battle here for second place. Santos, McNally and Toreschke. Two Mercedes and a Bentley Continental. Towards the back here we've got Zabdir really struggling. It just seems he isn't hooking up with the track quite as much as he has been others yet this season. Something's happened to Ben Cisco at some point as he has fallen to 11th place. Sham Arab has got his way ahead and into the top 10. There's only points for the top 10 in this race. It's the same point system as Formula 1. Bar the fastest lap award, of course. Close between McNally and Santos. They head onto the main straight. Good slipstream here is what McNally needs to get alongside and potentially ahead of Santos. A breakaway at the back there from De Beer ahead of Zabdir. Oh, it's to the inside. McNally looked to it but couldn't quite get late enough on the brakes. Held by Santos at the moment as they veer right and now into the left-hander up the hill through sector 2 of this circuit. Bauccio is not quite breaking away as much as I thought he would on this lap, with McNally and Santos battling quite intensely. It's still around about 2 seconds between Bauccio and Santos. And a battle going on back here. Ben Cisco has got back ahead of Arab. This is a battle for the final point slot in the timing, in the standings. Close still between McNally and Santos. Santos has got to worry about catching Bauccio in front. He's also got to worry about conceding to McNally behind, and Toreschke is struggling here. He can't quite get up or keep up with the two Mercedes up ahead. This is the closest battle on the track at the moment. McNally versus Santos. Bauccio leads another lap here at the Autodrome. Heading down towards turn 1. Can we get a move from McNally? He's certainly looking to the inside. He's looking to where the corner is. He takes a dive to the inside, very late on the brakes. Santos provides a bit of room, a bit of door-to-door again, but still on the inside is Santos as they head into turn 3 now, still side by side. But McNally makes the move stick and he's into second place unless Santos can fight back here. He's looking all over the rear, but he can't quite make it. Does not make a move up, but there is contact between the two. McNally runs wide, but Santos has realised he's messed up and he's going to let McNally keep the position. That is what's going to lose the gap to Bauccio, and wide there goes Santos. It will be an instant point, but not a slowdown by the looks of it. So Santos loses second place again, and McNally broken away slightly, and it brings Toreschke back into the battle, but also gaining a little bit here is Rockers De Beer. He's a second behind Toreschke now, still in the top 5, but he wants to break into the top positions, and it's going to be a tough ask for these two here, De Beer and Zabdir, to catch up with Bauccio. Oh, look at this. Santos guarding from Toreschke. Toreschke sticking to the racing line. An undercut here from Toreschke. Can he get it in front? He's alongside of Santos. We head into the hairpin. Not quite there. He's going to try another undercut. He sends Santos wide. Undercut commencing. Oh, and he cuts the corner a little bit too much, and he's got himself a slow down penalty. Here comes Rockers De Beer. He's caught up with the two of these cars. Santos a little bit of a sitting duck here, but he's defending quite well at the moment, and to the inside goes Rockers De Beer on Toreschke, a very classic inside late braking move, and he's ahead and into 4th place. That's one position down for him, and he can focus on the next. McNally has broken away from Santos. It's now a 1.4 second gap between 1.1 second gap between McNally and Santos. Bauccio leads another lap as we can see him in the BMW, but back there we've got Toreschke guarding from Marius Zabdir here. The Polish driver looking to get by, take another win in the series, and a big dive there from Rockers De Beer, and a dive from Zabdir back there, but it hasn't worked quite that way for Rockers De Beer, but it has worked for Zabdir as he gains a position on Lucas Toreschke, and into the top 5 he goes. Lucas is down to 6th place, but he's still in the race. That's what he's got to focus on. Santos still holds that podium spot, still around about 1 point. He's lost a bit of time from McNally there,
breaking away is McNally, and he's going to try and focus on catching Bauccio by the looks of it. Santos taking a late entry into the corner. That's allowing the inside open to Rockers de Beer, but a good exit here from Santos has kept the position. Third place held by Santos at the moment in the Mercedes, but a big slipstream here from Rockers de Beer. Might be able to find the inside. I'm not able to get any onboards here, but to the inside he goes, late on the brakes. Santos tries to hold it around the outside. He has the inside for the next corner. Can Rockers get it in front? He can't just yet. Santos is back in front. Tremendous defending from the Portuguese driver at the moment. Into the next corner we go. Zabdir has caught up. Big undercut there from Rockers de Beer as the late braking Santos couldn't quite get it up. Oh, and something happened to Rockers de Beer here. That he might have lost control of the car a little bit. Oh, it was a slow down penalty. He shook it off straight away pretty much, but it concedes positions to Marius Zabdir as he takes to the inside. Oh, he was very late braking from Marius there. Contact between him and the Mercedes of Santos, but he gains the position from it. Third place for him. And he's back onto the podium and ahead of his main championship rival, Rockers de Beer, who takes to the outside of Santos going into the final corner. Can he do it round the outside? Oh, and there is a bit of contact between the two. This is GT racing, guys, not touring car racing. And he does take fourth place, granted a little bit of contact on the way. That was a tough, brutal lap from Santos there. But he still keeps himself in the top 5. Zabdir is not wasting any time here. Oh, he takes straight to the inside of McNally. These are very daring moves from Marius here, trying desperately to get back up to the top spot that he's so used to in this championship. He's looking all over the rear of Colin McNally. A little bit of contact on the rear, and Colin is just trying to keep control of it. Rockers de Beer takes the inside with Zabdir having to back off on the brakes. Side by side between the two. So close between these three at the moment. Stewart message gone out, telling drivers less contact please. There's a lot of contact going on, and Colin McNally, oh, he lures Zabdir into a late braking situation. Santos went off as well, but Rockers de Beer took advantage of all of that, tries to get alongside McNally, who holds it. Brilliant defending from McNally so far. He's put Zabdir into 2 mistakes so far in this lap, and it puts Rockers de Beer into third place behind him now, who is able to capitalise on the 2 mistakes of Mario Zabdir back then. Santos might be able to catch up with this battle if it continues, but McNally defending like a lion at the moment, as Alonso would say. Oh, and there was a big lunge from De Beer there, and he takes a spin. Well, to be honest, that was a move very daring of Rockers de Beer, and it didn't quite work out, and I think he paid a little bit of the price there as Santos loses control of the rear end. He can't quite keep hold of it. He's got to go onto the pit lane entrance, and eventually the rear end gives in. He can get it back on track, he can keep it going, but they just seem to lose control very easy there. Now McNally is defending second place. It's a good exit from the corner here from Mario Zabdir. He's on the outside as we head into turn number 1. Into turn 1 we go. McNally late enough on the brakes by the looks of it. Oh, I think he's edged back in front. Yes, he has. Brilliant defender from McNally again. Rockers de Beer looking always to try and get the inside of the Polish driver ahead of him of Zabdir. Can't quite make it, but Zabdir is worrying about getting past McNally ahead and also worrying about defending from his championship rival behind. McNally easing his way through the corner here. Oh, he thought about a move, did Zabdir, and it didn't quite work out. Here we go, up towards the corner. That's really caught out a lot of drivers today. Nice line from McNally, half defensive, half quick line, but he missed the apex a little bit there. That's going to give Zabdir a good run out of the corner, which it does. He's going to take to the inside. McNally not giving him much room, but it's enough that Zabdir can stay on the track. To the inside he goes. Can he take the second place as we head into the hairpin? He was too late last time. Can he do it again? McNally takes to the outside, but it hasn't quite worked. Zabdir has broke at exactly the right time to be able to take the position there. We've still got McNally versus De Beer to worry about here. But Zabdir is up to second position in the Ferrari. They're 5 seconds down from Bauccio, who's checking out here. This will certainly help him. 5 seconds to catch for these 3 drivers here. This certainly hasn't been helped with McNally defending like a lion, as I mentioned a lap ago. Putting on a great show at the moment is McNally. He's holding his own. He's not getting too phased by the contact that we know of, anyway. Rockers de Beer can't quite find his way past the Mercedes just yet, and it is allowing Zabdir to stretch away a little bit. McNally quite hasn't got the legs to keep up with Zabdir at the moment. Let's see what Rockers can do. This new lap here, lap 8 of the race. 15 minutes down. Rockers, I think, has a slowdown penalty still to serve. It might have been shaken off already. Normally you can get rid of these slowdown penalties by easing off the throttle a little bit earlier before you start braking, which also saves fuel, which double beneficiary really. Now Zabdir has already caught a second on Andrea Bauccio in the last lap. So Zabdir's last lap, if I can check. Oh, there we go. Bauccio's last lap was invalid. But Zabdir's fastest lap is 1.3 seconds quicker than that of Bauccio's. We've got Rockers de Beer on the outside of Colin McNally, heading into the hairpin. McNally holds it. What can Rockers de Beer do? Doesn't try to stay alongside. It hasn't quite worked for him trying that outside line on that corner just then, but he's going to take a long route around the outside of that corner to the inside in this hairpin. McNally gives plenty of racing room, and on he goes. Into third place goes Rockers de Beer. It's been a bit of a rocky start for Zabdir and de Beer. A lot of contact in this race from them too, and a few spins, a few off tracks has led them to be in this position. But I don't think Zabdir is quite worried at this point. He knows he's catching up with Bauccio. He's going to catch Bauccio if he continues at the rate that he is right now. So across the line will go Andrea Bauccio to start lap 9, and it's another invalid lap from Bauccio. So you can tell he's pushing. You can tell he is pushing with the off tracks he's getting, which are invalidating his times. Likewise with Zabdir and de Beer though. Valid lap from McNally is a 2-minute lap, granted with a bit of battling. But he's broken away from Toreschke and Santos, who I believe will probably his likely candidates for a race here today. This will probably end up being the battle for 4th place. But Colin McNally's driving a really good race at the moment. He's been elbows out with the guys at the front here, defending really, really well, and he still holds a strong position in this race. Now Bauccio is our race leader, led, I think, all but one lap in this race. But he is now going to be under pressure. He knows the Ferraris come in with Mario Zabdir. Top split runner in the ranked races. And Andrea in the BMW colours on the BMW M6. His first race in this season, in this series. He's led the most laps of this race, which you'll be happy with. The question will come about that battle for first place, if and when it comes. Rockers de Beer has got some work to do as well to try and catch up with these two. He was quickest in practice, he was quickest in qualifying. That's what he can take out of it. He just needs to see if he can catch up with the two ahead. We'll see what their laps are when they come across the line very shortly. It's now under 2 seconds between Bauccio and Zabdir. Across the line will go Bauccio. He takes a 2 minute, almost exactly 2 minutes, but 1.5 seconds quicker is Mario Zabdir, and an invalid lap from Rockers de Beer. Let's look back here as Carl Smith is getting close to Maritie Bali. Now Maritie Bali started 10th. No, he started 9th, do excuse me. He started 9th and he's gained 2 places to get to where he is right now, 7th place. So a good job by him. We'll see how he gets on for the remainder of this race. We've got Ben Cisco also hunting down Gabrielle Lopez. These two have battled quite a lot this season, so it'll be interesting to see their battle extend. But at the front, this is what we're going to focus on. It's a second between Zabdir and Bauccio. And it's 2 seconds still between Rokas de Beer and Mario Zabdir. But if Zabdir struggles to get past Bauccio ahead, that's de Beer's opportunity to catch. It's getting close between these two. There's no doubt that Zabdir is the quicker driver of the two, as wide there goes Bauccio, pushing very hard to try and extend the gap or improve his lap times, improve his overall pace, which is 1.5 seconds slower than the drivers behind. Colin McNally was actually a little bit quicker on that last lap than the race leader, so there's a chance that Colin McNally might be able to challenge for that third spot. We also have pit stops and strategies to consider later on in the race as well. Oh, it's very sideways then went Bauccio, and that nearly conceded the position straight away to Zabdir, but he's taken to the outside as we head towards that final corner. Late on the brakes, can he get it in front before the start of the next lap? Bauccio fights back on the inside, but no, Zabdir takes it round the outside, capitalising on the mistake of Bauccio, and he passes him. That's not what De Beer wanted. De Beer wanted more of a battle from Bauccio, but it was a mistake that led to it. So our new race leader is the driver who's won every race this season so far. What can this person do? This person looks like the most likely candidate to disrupt that at the moment. The Dutchman of Rokas de Beer. No doubt later on we'll be cheering on his local driver Max Verstappen in the Formula 1. He's now within a second of Bauccio ahead, and he is closer to Zabdir than he was a lap ago. Only by a few tenths, about half a second actually, but he is closer. Close now to Bauccio. Where will the move happen? It is quite a tricky track to overtake on, we've noticed in this race so far. That's what the drivers seem to be struggling with. You're on the inside of one corner, you end up on the outside on another. Because it is quite a wide track, so it means you can give a little bit of racing room and still hold the position and power your way around the corner. Sparks flying from that BMW. To the inside goes Rokas de Beer. That seems to be his favourite place to overtake, and Bauccio does not contest too much for that position. De Beer makes easy work of that as we head towards the end of this 11th lap here. So it's now 1.7 seconds behind between the two drivers here. There it is. Let's watch that gap. Will it increase? Will it decrease? Will it stay the same? We'll see what happens. For much of the season, Rokas has been the underdog to Zabdir. Make no bones about it, he has. Times have been relatively similar. I mean, Rokas had the faster lap of the two at Silverstone. Nordschleife, there was about 4 seconds between them in terms of lap time, but in terms of on track, you're nearly a minute. Rokas didn't race at Spa, and last time out there was only about 37 seconds between them, so Zabdir has been convincingly the quicker driver in the races, but it seems to be a different kettle of fish here today. Zabdir probably hasn't had as much laps practice on this track as others. It's that time, that battle time in the middle there fluctuates up and down. The best comparison we can get is when it's towards the end. When it's at the start of the lap, to compare where it was last time. It's about 1.7 seconds when they came across the line last time. now it's hovering around 1.6. This could be a very, very close race between these two. We also need to watch these two, Colin McNally and Andrea Bauccio. 6 seconds between them two, but let's keep an eye on these two as we head out the final corner here. As they both head across the line. Rockus was quicker on that lap by 2/10. It's going to be a tight one, this is. It's really, really tight between these two. Evidently, they're pushing as hard as they can. And in fact, Rockus de Beer did the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. And Mario Zabdir was only shy of his personal best by a few thousandths. So that's how hard they're pushing. But Rockus did the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. The question is now going to be who can consistently keep up the pace. They're both in different cars as well. Now that's the thing to mention here, is that all cars are so different in this GTR3 category on Race Room. A huge category, a huge catalogue of cars you can choose in GTR3. There's Audis, BMWs, Ferraris, Chevrolets, as you've seen there. There's the Corvette, and there's the there's another Chevrolet kicking about in there as well. Bentleys, Mercedes, different types of Mercedes in there. The McLarens, there's 3 different McLarens, I believe. Porsches. There's the P45, which I've never heard of it before. Race Room. Nissan GTR. Loads of cars you can race on Race Room in the GT3 category. The only manufacturer I'm a little bit disappointed we don't have yet on Race Room is Lamborghini. But you know, time will tell. Time will tell. I think that time at the top there, the time between these two drivers has extended on this lap here. It seems to be hovering around 2 seconds here, so this is looking like a pretty decent lap from Mario Zabdir. So let's see what it is when he comes across the line, unless it's invalidated. No, it's a valid lap time, and it is the fastest lap of the race by 0.04 of a second. And he's extended the gap by 0.6 of a second over Rockus de Beer on that lap. This is the game of chess now. Their fastest laps, these two, are separated by just 0.04 of a second. Their qualifying times were only separated by 0.10 of a second. 10/1000 of a second, should I say. So close. And let's see what Rockus can do on this lap. There might have been a few mistakes in that last one. He was 0.6 off of Mario Zabdir's time, as well as his personal best of Rockus. Let's head to Colin McNally as well. Now the gap is extended between Bauccio and Colin McNally by a few seconds actually, so Colin's struggling to keep up with Bauccio. Might have to settle in for a 4th place unless strategy can beat Bauccio. Quite close also between Gabrielle Lopez and Ben Cisco. Ben Cisco has found his way past Gabrielle Lopez in the last few laps or so by the looks of it. The battle will rage on still between them two. The closest battle on the track at the moment is them two of Lopez and Cisco. Hovering around about 2 seconds still between these two as we complete another lap here. And we're about to tick over the half-an-hour point, which will be the 3rd waypoint of the race. And the car pulled over to the side there. That's Sham Arab getting lapped for the first time in this race. Just outside the points is Sham Arab. So it's not quite worked out in his way today, but a finished race would be a good race in my books on your debut to this championship. And that last lap, Rockus de Beer did a 58.3, which is 0.3 shy of his personal best, but a new fastest lap on that last lap by Mario Zabdir. He's into the 57s in this race, and it was 4 or 5 tenths quicker than Rockers de Beer. So Zabdir has hooked it up now. He's found that pace that he so definitely has on other tracks, and this track he seems to be finding it now at this point in the race, which is not what de Beer would have wanted. But again, strategy is something to look out for in this race. Okay, and as we tick over to the third waypoint in this race in the next 2 minutes, we are going to go for a very quick break. We'll be back very soon with the racing here at Dubai Autodrome. And we're back with the Dubai Autodrome. Second third of the race is now pretty much underway, and as we all wait for a break, you can probably see the gap's extending between quite a few drivers here. Rockers de Beer is now more than 4.5 seconds behind Mario Zabdir, and it's not quite working for him. Not quite working for him. Marius has swiped away the fastest lap of the race, and he's pretty consistent with that fastest lap of the race as well, is Marius. All bar 2 drivers on that previous lap had invalid laps. Although it's a wide track here at Dubai Autodrome, it's so tempting to find the limit and find more, as racers would say. They're constantly trying to use those huge and flat curbs best of their lap times. So we've got a 4.5 second gap between Rogas de Beer and Zabdir, our leader. Bauccio in third place, 11 seconds back from the second place spot. Oh, I'm getting very slippery on the rears there was Bauccio. No pit stops yet from any of these drivers. Having said that, that is Ben Cisco in the pits. I think he is taking on tyres. We'll check back with him very soon. We have got Colin McNally, who's dropped back a bit more from Andrea Bauccio, and it's still pretty close amongst these three. Less than 5 seconds down the road here is Lucas Toreschke, who has got Ricardo Santos for company. Quite close between them two. Santos has hooked up quite a few good laps. He was 3 seconds quicker than Lucas Toreschke on that last lap. He did a sub 2 minute lap, did Santos, which is quicker than the three drivers ahead of him. Sham Arab is in the pits as well, so he's decided to go into the pits now. So this might be a two-stop strategy from these two as Ben Cisco gets away. Now, the thing is with these drivers, they're at the back. They're fighting for the slim picking points. That is 10th, 9th, 8th, etc. So I think what these drivers will be more comfortable with is fresh tyres. And I think that's what's exactly going through Ben Cisco and Sham Arab's mind here, as they take on fuel. I think it was just fuel for Sham Arab actually, which is a very interesting one. Didn't see his car go up on the jacks. Oh, drive-through penalty for Sham Arab. Speeding in the pit lane is so easy to do on Race Room, really easy to do, and it's happened to him, and that is just another blow to the heart. Oh, as Lucas Toreschke has had a spin coming out the hairpin, and that might have been contact. Pessoa Santos is running slow and he's going to let by Lucas Toreschke, and that's going to lose a lot of time to Colin McNally, which does not help these two. So there we go. There might have been contact between Santos. He might have taken blame for it straight away and let Toreschke back past. Santos, towards the beginning of the race, was the source of a lot of intense battles with the top three and McNally. Certainly has been getting involved in more of that there with Toreschke. Let's see if this battle can get going again. Santos seems to be the quicker of the two. And we're looking to the times again. Zabdir is the quickest person on the track with a 58.6, 4 tenths quicker than Rogas de Beer. And other drivers, all other drivers were outside, well, over the 2 minute mark of this lap. So Bauccio still running pretty good pace for third place. He's content in third place. He hasn't got too much to worry about. As there to the inside goes Santos, and through into fifth place he goes. And Lucas Toreschke, time to fight back, I think, for Lucas as he tries to get back towards that top 5. But is Lucas getting a little bit uncomfortable with the car on those tyres? He took a very shallow exit from turn number 5 there. 6, one of them. Santos just seems a little bit more content with his tyres. He seems a bit more confident on the corner exits. That's the part you have to worry about in these cars, is the corner exits. As we saw a lot of drivers in the early part of the race spinning the car. It's so easy to put the hammer down too early on this track anyway. There's not many times on this track where you actually got the steering wheel straight, so it can be quite tricky in cars like these where when you're turning and you power down the throttle, the rear end just gives in, because that's what's pretty much turning the car with it being rear wheel drive. Back towards the front, Rogas de Beer was a bit quicker on that lap. He's only 2 tenths slower than Marius Zabdir, and I think Marius was lapping Gabrielle Lopez here in the Falcon Porsche. Marius, it didn't look pretty good at the start. It didn't look pretty good. However, he's really been able to learn the track in qualifying and perfect the craft, really, should we say, in this race right here. I think at this point he's able to relax himself a little bit, hook up the consistent laps to maintain the gap from Rockers de Beer, who is probably in a different place. He's probably in a place where he's trying to extract every tenth he can from himself and the car. Zabdi is in a place where he knows he's quicker and he can ease off a little bit, he can relax himself a little bit, and that's usually what leads to the mistakes from the latter, the second place person in this case. A bit like what we're seeing with Charles Leclerc and Verstappen, particularly what we had at Paul Ricard. Verstappen clearly the quicker driver, but Charles Leclerc forced into mistakes through just pushing that extra bit harder. Doesn't quite work out. I think Sham Arab is in the pits again. He's trying to serve that. Has he served that drive-through? That's my question. But quite a glim race for Sham Arab at the moment, unfortunately. But it's his debut, to get used to the cars, to get used to the race, etc, etc. We look to Marius, who crosses the line with a 58.4 and a 58.6 for Rockers de Beer. So it's close between these two, and I think Zabdi has kind of calmed things a little bit, as the gap between the two is with him, and it's now tyre management for Zabdi. Rockers de Beer has at no point has been able to stretch into the 57, so both these drivers now hovering around half a second off their best laps. Colin McNally back here, 15 seconds off Bauccio now. He's not able to close the gap between him and Bauccio. But you know what? McNally has really impressed me in this race. He really got stuck in towards the start. Held his own, and a fourth place is a strong one for him on his return to the series since Silverstone round 1, which was about 8 weeks ago now. Now these two are still battling. This is Lucas Toreschke versus Pessoa Santos, as Toreschke brakes too late going into turn 1. He wasn't able to get it to the inside. He had to take evasive action to the left, which has dropped him a little bit of time from the Portuguese driver, but still within a second. You know what, this is a close battle between these two, and it's kind of like what we saw between Toreschke and Paul Hans last week. Now Toreschke is battling with Pessoa Santos, and if we could see Paul Hans return to the series next time out at Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, could we see a three-way battle always between those three drivers? It could well be. It'd be good if we could. Gap dropping a little bit between Rockers de Beer and Zabdi on this lap. It's less than half a second between them now. So I wonder if Zabdi is struggling with the tyres a little bit, and that's why he's backed off a little bit. This will be an interesting one. So across the line, it's a 58.8 for Zabdi, but Rockers de Beer had an invalid lap. But we can see he's quicker. The time between them has dropped. 1 second between Santos in the pink BWT Alpine looking Mercedes, and in the M Sport Bentley is Lucas Torisky. Sham Arab is back out on track, I can see, and I think he has shaken off that penalty. So that's good news. He can get back out on track, he can focus on his race. He is laps down, granted. But he's able to keep the race going. So I've just switched the timing tower over to gap rather than interval. You see the gap from these drivers to the leader now. We can see it's around about a second between Santos and Toreschke visibly. They're near a minute down from Zabdi. So we are approaching the halfway point in this race now. And this will be around about the point that drivers decide to pit. One of them being Gabrielle Lopez. So Lopez has been locked in that battle for 9th place, trying to catch up with Carl Smith. And as he rejoins the track, Carl Smith passes by a lap ahead. So it's very much in the favour of Carl Smith. 8th places. He's a bit of a lonely racer, Carl Smith, but a few dramas in some of the races so far. Carl Smith is looking for a pretty clean race, and so far he's got it. Now let's keep an eye on these other drivers. Zabdir passes round for another lap here, but I think De Beer... No, he hasn't. Oh, I thought he dropped a bit of time then. He has dropped a little bit of time, but I thought he dropped more. So do pardon the exclamation there from myself. And it was an invalid time from Zabdir, but a 58.9 for Rokas De Beer. But I reckon Zabdir would have got around about a 58.4 as the time extended between the two on that lap. Lucas is struggling to keep up now with Santos. He's dropping away a 10th here, a 10th there. The race for this position, 5th place, might be won in the pits. We'll have to see. Strategy is key in this race. There's a lot of drivers at this point. Some of them would have gone long with the fuel, because a fuel tank can do around about an hour in these cars. But some drivers choose to go 3/4 tank, which takes them to this point, the 45-minute mark. And it's what drivers decide to do with tyres. Do they take on tyres? Do they not? So, 1.4 seconds between these two drivers, the closest battle on the track as we mentioned. And it's still less than 5 seconds between De Beer and Zabdir at top. You can see drivers taking a very cautious line going into this turn 7 here. Hardest corner on the circuit, a banked corner, and just goes on and on forever. It's a very difficult corner to get perfect, as I mentioned earlier. I think Zabdir's in the pits. He is. Zabdir's in the pits. Okie dokie. So, he decides to go 3/4 fuel. Is De Beer going long? Now that's the question. Now I'm going to keep an eye here on Zabdir. Let's see if he goes up on the jacks. It's a bit tricky to tell. Andrea Bauccio passes by. He doesn't take on a pit stop just yet. Colin McNally, he does not come into the pits. So Santos does, and Lucas Toreschke stays out. Marius Zabdir here, him and Pessoa Santos are in the pits, and away goes Zabdir. I'm not entirely sure if he took on tyres or not. I don't think it quite shows us if the car goes on the jacks or not on this game. Not quite sure. Toreschke passes by to take 4th place temporarily, and Zabdir rejoins the track. So there we go. We can see that a pit stop will lose you about a minute here at the Dubai Autodrome. Let's keep an eye on Santos as well. Now we got a better view of him here in the pits. Maratib Ali takes 6th place temporarily for the moment. Another car in the pits. That looks like Carl Smith. It is. Zabdir back out on track. Santos. I think he's on the jacks there. Yeah, he is. Takes a long time to refuel these GT3s. But that looks like the fronts are going on the car. Is it the fronts or is it the rears? Can't quite tell. Got the best of angles to try and see. That car goes back on the floor and away goes Santos. Did take on some form of tyres. It might have been all 4, it might have been 2, I can't quite tell. It's a bit difficult to tell the camera angles we got and the telemetry we have. So back out on track, let's see what happens to Rokas De Beer. He stayed out for another lap. And the gap between him and Zabdir is 56 seconds. We lose about a minute in the pits. Let's see if got a last lap from... No, we haven't. It's close. And invalid, should I say. Zabdir here. Oh, and there was something happened to Lucas Toreschke. Was that contact? I think he hit the wall as well there. Did Lucas Toreschke? He did. Huge damage on the front. This is a big, big change for that 5th spot. Was there contact between the two? We joined them a bit too late. Lucas seems to be struggling there. A lot of damage on that car. McNally's in the pits. He hasn't got much to worry about, particularly as Toreschke now has damage. Santos might not be aware of this, but because of that, he will quite easily pass by Toreschke and hold 5th place. Toreschke's probably going to have to take on some sort of a repair, which will probably involve the bonnet getting fixed a little bit by the pit crew. Check for engine damage as well. If he hit square on the barrier, which it looked like he did, that shan't help. Maritive Ali is in the pits as well. We keep an eye on Toreschke as he goes up on the jacks. That means he's taking on tyres. We've got other drivers in the pits as well. We've got... I think that's Rokas Tabir. It is. Rokas Tabir is in the pits now. He decides to go a little bit longer than Mario Zabdir, so we need to see how things compare between the two of them. McNally will head back out on the track, a long way behind Zabdir. Here is Rokas Tabir. Toreschke's still in the pits. He's down from the jacks, which means he's going to be taking on damage repairs, but passing him by there goes Maritib Ali. That will lose Toreschke another position. Just to be here, passing by goes Bauccio. Here comes Zabdir around the final few corners. He's still on the jacks as Zabdir is heading towards the final corner. He's heading through the final corner now. There's the gap between the two of them. Tabir's still in his pit box. Away he goes now, but Zabdir's going to pass him by, and he will retake first place as Tabir is still in the pit lane, running so slowly down the pit lane. Painfully slow for him, I imagine, and he rejoins the track. He's lost time from Zabdir. He's now 8 seconds down. And he's got his tyres to warm up again, with Zabdir on warmed tyres. And I don't think having 2 laps newer tyres than Zabdir is going to be the benefit of Tabir at this point. So he's certainly looking on his way for another win, does Zabdir, unless any dramas happen. Toreschke's back on track. He's fallen behind Carl Smith as well, so he's fallen to 8th place. Was that mistake from Lucas Toreschke? I'm not entirely sure if it was his own mistake or if he was helped off. I'm just trying to check if there's any chat between the drivers when it happened. I do see a message from Zabdir saying sorry about 4 minutes ago. It might have been contact between the two of them. Very interesting indeed. It's a shame if it was contact between the two of them that's caused Toreschke to lose those positions. Bauccio's in the pits, so this will give Zabdir back the lead indefinitely. And he's enough time ahead of McNally to hold on to 3rd place, that's certain. But he went very long, did Bauccio here. Carl Smith had a spin here. That's heading out of turn 1. But he's got a lot of time between him and Toreschke behind. But the 15 seconds now between him and Maritib Ali, which means 6th is stretching out of reach for Carl Smith. Bauccio's still in the pits as the 2 leaders pass by. Still less than 10 seconds between the leaders, but that's an extension of the gap. Bauccio's back down from the jacks. He did take on tyres and he will leave the pits. He had time in the bag. He could take on tyres if the strategy was against him on that from McNally. But he is well and truly ahead and away by more than half a minute from McNally, or around half a minute from McNally. But he's about half a minute behind the drivers up top is Bauccio. So he's a bit of a lonely race from here on for Bauccio, and he's just got to take it into the end. A podium position on your debut is quite impressive, and he did really impress at the start of the race by leading a lot of laps, stretching a big lead, and keeping his nose out of trouble, really. So I think most drivers have pitted. In fact, yes, all drivers have pitted. And the ones that benefited from the pit stops, definitely Pessoa Santos. He's got a free track ahead of him. He is only 9 seconds behind Colin McNally. So I wonder if Santos can ease his way towards McNally on these this final third of the race, approaching us in about 5 minutes' time. We'll see. We will see. It's less than 8 seconds between them. This is interesting. I wonder if there's something going on with McNally up here. He is struggling with the... He is struggling at the moment. Something's happening to the yellow Cobra Racing Mercedes. Let's see if Santos can reel him in. Oh, Carl Smith is in the pits, and that will promote Lucas Toreschke back up a position. That will put somewhat of a smile on Toreschke's face. But Carl Smith that spin we saw earlier on, might have got damage from it. Either that, he's gone for... Oh, he's leaving the pits now. Yeah, not too sure, not too sure. It might have been a splash and dash. It might have been a drive-through penalty for Carl Smith. Oh no, that's really, really going to cost him, because he's rejoined the track not too far ahead of Gabrielle Lopez and Ben Cisco, which means that Carl Smith with a drive-through penalty will probably drop to 10th place. Oh, it's just been a rotten lap and a bit for him. What was looking like a very clean race for himself to this point hasn't quite gone that way now. Really unfortunate. Lucas Toreschke, we've got to keep an eye on him. He's got a lot of damage on that Bentley, which probably isn't comfortable to drive right now. He might have suspension damage, he might have radiator damage, and he definitely has aerodynamic damage that we can see. You have to do quite a lot to your car to end up with aerodynamic damage. So he did hit the wall, we saw it, but how it happened, we're not too sure. Santos still under 8 seconds from McNally. We'll switch back to interval times as we head towards the crucial part of the race, and still under 10 seconds between the top two. Rogas de Beer in second with Zabdir out in front. And let's keep an eye on Carl Smith as he's in a spot of bother. We'll have to see how this affects his race. Now in the pit lane he's not going to lose as much as he would in the stop, and he hasn't taken to the pit lane, even though he's got a drive-through penalty. He's going to stay out. And I wonder if this is to try and get himself a gap from Lopez and Cisco. So we'll check back in with Carl Smith soon. This is one of the battles I want to keep an eye on. Less than 8 seconds between Santos and McNally. McNally's getting a little bit of a draft ahead of him from, I think that's Ben Cisco up ahead. But McNally will be looking in his mirrors each time he goes onto a long straight, like the front straight here, like the back straight, and you'll see the pink Mercedes appear every now and again. Oh, it has stretched to over 9 seconds now between Santos and McNally. And McNally did have a pretty good lap time by the looks of it. He was quicker than Bauccio ahead of him, and it was a 2-minute lap almost exactly. So it could well be that McNally has hooked up the tyres and he's on the charge again. Keep an eye on Carl Smith as he's heading towards the end of the lap. And he's around about halfway around the lap, actually. So we head towards the 2/3 point of the race. Let's see if Carl Smith takes that drive-through penalty this lap. Heads towards the final 3 corners on the circuit. The long left-hander here doesn't quite take the apex. Did struggle to get the car turned in by the looks of it. Let's see if he takes to the pit lane. He definitely has one. I saw a pit drive-through penalty notice come up. Do you think Carl Smith's trying to gap Lopez and Cisco? He has gapped Lopez a lot on that last lap. A 2-minute 1 for Carl Smith, which isn't a bad lap. It's only a second shy of Colin McNally up in 4th place. He was quicker than Toreschke on that last lap. Gabrielle Lopez had an invalid lap, and Ben Cisco also did, who's not too far behind these drivers here. Colin McNally stretches by the Nissan and the BMW here of Sham Arab. Sham Arab is meant to be in a Nissan, actually. He's driving the wrong car, but he'll still score points for Nissan. He's brought in a T car by the looks of it. Pessoa Santos, which was a battle between him and McNally we were monitoring, is now stretched to over 10 seconds, so it's looking very much like McNally has hooked up some good laps here, good consistent laps. And in actual fact, Mario Zabdir did on the previous lap, not the lap we just seen him complete, but the previous one before that, a new fastest lap at the race, which was a 57.4. But also, actually, Rokas de Beer has just done his personal best of the race, which is only 72 1/1000ths shy of the fastest lap of the race. So Rokas is hooking it up now. And you look at the time between him and Zabdir, it's very much level with what we saw earlier on, but that's the thing. De Beer can't get quicker. He can't get quicker than Zabdir. Whatever he does, Zabdir matches or does better. That's the issue for him. And it's very much been that way much of this season. Rokas has been second best to Zabdir much of the season. We did see them very, very much on par in pace earlier on in the race, but Zabdir is able to find that extra bit. Okay, so we have ticked over the 2/3 part of the race. We've got less than half an hour left in this race. We are going to go for another break. And we'll be back shortly with the remainder of this 5th round of the championship here at Dubai Autodrome by Crest Autosport, the GT Cup on Race Room. Okay, and we're back, commentary-wise, with the Crest Autosport GT Cup here, round 5 at Dubai. Not much has happened during that quick interval there. Every driver where they were before we went for that quick break. A little bit of a rundown of the order then as we head into the final 25 minutes of this race. We've got Mario Zabdir up top. Fastest lap of the race as well for him, but he leads the race by 8 to 9 seconds from his championship rival, Rogus de Beer. Another second place for him. This will be 5th consecutive for Zabdir and 4th consecutive for de Beer in the races that he's taken part in anyway. Debutante, we have Andrea Bauccio in 3rd position. Been a strong race for him. He led quite a few laps at the start of the race. He led about 10 laps of this race, so good job by him, and it looks like a podium set for him at the moment. We have Colin McNally in 4th place, another driver who did really well at the start of the race, and a 4th place is a strong finish for him. It would be the best finish of the season, given that he finished 5th in his only other round at Silverstone. Ricardo Santos also on his debut today. He's had a bit of argy-bargy here and there from other drivers, from himself as well, but 5th place, a strong result for him on his debut, and he's within 10 seconds of McNally up ahead, so keep an eye on this one. You never know what can happen with these two. Santos might find more pace. McNally could be lured into a mistake of some sort or might have drama. We'll see if Santos can stretch closer to 4th place. Mariti Bali is the biggest gainer of the field, in fact. 3 places gained from 9th to 6th. He's just picked one car away at a time and has gained positions to 6th place. A good finish for him if he can finish it off where he is right now. Lucas Toreschke, it was looking like a pretty decent race for him, but drama around about the midway point, which forced him into a pit stop and a repair, which means he lost a lot of time in the pits, which has dropped him a place to 7th and a long way behind. And he'll be a bit sad about that finish there, considering that last time out at Imola he got himself a 5th place. He'd be a little bit disappointed with this result here and the happenings of this race. It might have been helped through contact, his damage. He didn't quite catch it, but all to be seen by stewards after the race, of course. Gabrielle Lopez in 8th place. It's been a little bit quiet for him. He's been in a battle with Ben Cisco for much of the race here, but this battle here for 8th does stretch to 10th. It does stretch between Lopez, Ben Cisco, and then Carl Smith. Them two are very close, but they're not too far behind Lopez. There is about 6 to 7 seconds between 8th and 10th. So the battle for 4 or 2 points or 1 point is on between these 3 drivers as we head into the final 22 minutes of this race. And Sham Arab in 11th place, just outside the points, but hooking up the laps, getting the job done and getting a finish on his debut to the series. Let's monitor this for a little while. Carl Smith versus Ben Cisco. Carl Smith had to take a drive-through penalty, remember, and he has taken it now, but I think he timed it just right. I think he did time it just right, that he left it a few laps before he did come in. When you do get a black flag, you have to come in within 3 laps. So Carl Smith stayed out to gap Lopez more, so then he had less gap to catch when it came to after serving his penalty. He's now caught up with Ben Cisco, and he's got to work now to try and get back into 8th place. He's got to try and pass the Jamaican driver in front of Ben Cisco, and Ben Cisco has kind of yielded that position there. That's easy pickings for Carl Smith. I think Ben Cisco is just thinking, I want to get to the end of this race here, which he will do, given that he hasn't conceded battle too much, should we say, with Carl Smith. And actually right here, Carl Smith is already gaining on Gabrielle Lopez ahead. He's under 5 seconds. And Lopez has got Pessoa Santos just ahead of him, towing him along a little bit, which won't help Carl Smith. Oh, Ben Cisco very close to the rear of Carl Smith there. A little bit of news on Crest Autosport. For the few viewers that are watching, a few people who will probably watch after. We are working on next season's plans. As we're halfway over the World Touring Car Challenge, we're halfway over this championship here. We are working on next season's plans. We are doing another Touring Car Championship on Thursdays. That will take place, I think it will start late September, early October. I can't quite remember off the top of my head which one it will start on. But it will be a 6-rounder. There will be a 2-week gap in the middle because I'm going to Vietnam, so I can't host races from Vietnam. So it will be a 6-rounder. Very short championship to see out the year. And we are looking into doing something on Saturdays. Again, after this championship, it might be GTs again, but sure, a lot of race room fans have seen there is a Formula 1 car creeping around on race room and soon to be released. Very soon to be released. I think it will be in the next week or so it will be released. We will be doing a Formula 1 league of some sort, and it might well be on the Saturdays once this GT Cup has concluded. So a lot of the current drivers will probably be very much interested in that, and a lot of new drivers might be interested in that. So exciting to have something majorly Formula 1 on race room. Very much looking forward to it indeed. And we are also opening up a third league eventually. It might be next year we do that, but we are opening up a third league. It's either going to be on Mondays or Tuesdays as we see the battle between Carl Smith and Lopez commence. Lopez had a mistake and he's dropped behind Carl Smith, who's going to take back 8th place here. But will Gabrielle Lopez fight back? He does a little bit. Him and Carl Smith there, now close on track. But Carl Smith has got himself back up to 8th place in a matter of a few laps when it was looking pretty grim for him. With a spin and a drive-through penalty accumulated on the same lap, he's able to get himself back into the position that he was in. And he's stretching away from Lopez, so he'd be happy with that, and he'll just want to take it to the end now. But to continue from what I was saying, we are opening up a support type league on either Mondays or Tuesdays, and that could be anything. It could be anything at this point. We haven't quite decided. There's quite a popularity for Porsche Carreras at the moment. There's quite a popularity for F2 and F3 at the moment, so we are considering quite a lot. Do let us know in our Discord or on our Facebook group or here in the comments what you would like to see us host besides GT. Well, it could be GT if you wanted, because we might be pulling away from GT in the coming months. It could be a small car, a big car, fast car, slow car, whatever. Let us know what you reckon. Okay, so Carl Smith has got himself past Lopez and back into 8th position. He's not quite stretching away just yet, but he is stretching away from Gabrielle Lopez. Carl Smith will be eager to just get us to the end. He had a bit of a scare earlier, as we saw. He'll be eager to get this car to the end. Zabdir still leads at the top, and he's catching up with these two we just seen of Lopez and Smith, lapping these cars for the first time on track. Yeah, the first time on track, which is, I've got to say, these drivers have really come on leaps and bounds during this season, particularly the ones who are filtering the back here, like Smith, like Lopez. They were lapped more than once in a few previous races, so they've done really well in today's race. It's got to be said. Zabdir might be getting a bit frustrated here, as Lopez is not immediately getting out of the way. Now, the blue flag rule, normally in endurances, you just get out of the way, which Lopez has at this point. Right. Half has, half hasn't, but Zabdir gets past. Yeah, the thing is, the blue flag, it's a purely informational flag. A lot of people don't know this, but the blue flag is in actual fact a purely informational flag. Now, some sim series treat it differently. Some series do treat it as, once you get the blue flag, you've got to get out the way. But the actual code of racing is code of conduct generally in racing, and most real-life regulations is that when you get the blue flag, it is just informing you that a driver is behind you. And in factual fact, there's two forms of the yellow flag. There's one where the flag is held stationary, and one where the blue flag is waved. And if it's held stationary, it means it's more than a second between the leader and yourself, the back marker. And when it's waved, it means they're right behind you. Oh, something's happened to Ben Cisco. Ben Cisco's retired from the race. I'm not too sure what's happened to Ben Cisco there. Oh, that's a shame. He was running in 10th. And that's a point that's going to go away from him in this race. It's not quite gone to plan for him. His last lap was okay. He was a bit slow, but it was okay. But he retires from the race as Ben Cisco. Oh, that's a great big shame. He was looking good for a points finish. Well, Ben, if you are watching, please let us know what's happened, mate. It does promote Sham Arab up to 10th place, which means a championship point for him in this race, which has been a bit troublesome for him. But he'll take a point out of it if he finishes. That's a big shame for Ben Cisco. Big, big shame. He was running 13th in the championship heading into today. Now, he wouldn't have gained any place in the championship with Frank Tennant if he finished in 10th place there. He'd have gained 1 point to 9 points and probably would have stayed in 13th. Actually, he probably would have dropped a few places in actual fact, with Bauccio picking up 15 as it stands and Santos picking up 10. Still a big shame that he's retired from this race. Our only retirement at the moment. All drivers done very well to get this far in the race with 39 laps on the counter. But this driver has done it again. Now, I'm just looking at the championship standings. Okay, so Zabdir will come out of here with 125 points and an extra 18 points for Rockers de Beer, which will put him to 53 points behind Zabdir in the championship. Now, 53 points means that if Zabdir can just finish the next race either ahead of Rockers de Beer or finish within 3 points, which means they'd have to finish fairly low down in the pecking order. Basically what I'm saying is Marius Zabdir could win the championship next time out at Bathurst. So with 2 races in hand and upon the completion of the next race at Bathurst, Zabdir could be crowned champion. So that's an interesting one. He's just been on another level today. Still holds fastest lap. Not by much. It's been close between him and Rockus in this race. And Rockus is still putting in good laps. He's got it to under 8 seconds, the gap between him and Zabdir. And Rockus is still setting 57s. But it's so close between these two that that gap is going to struggle to come down to be close, should we say. Having said that, Rockus has put in a good race. He was looking great in qualifying. He was looking great to try and take a win here, but Zabdir has just taken to it another level, learnt the track a little bit more as the session's gone by. And he hasn't quite worked out for Tabia, but a fourth consecutive second place for Rockus Tabia. In third position on his debut, Andrea Bauccio, third position. Led a couple of laps in this race. Let's not forget. He capitalised on the coming together between Zabdir and De Beer. And he was able to capitalise, take the lead and stretch a gap. But he wasn't able to hold it as the 2 drivers were coming in hot and fast. Took the position from him. But a third place for him, and he'd be pleased with that on his debut. Colin McNally has drove a strong race today, it's got to be said. One of my drivers of the day, just because when drivers were attacking him, he held his own very strong. He stayed very firm. And he's come through with a very happy 4th place. He's had good pace today as well. He is a couple of seconds off the top spot, yeah, but he's quicker than every other driver behind him, which usually you are. But he's had no threat from anyone else besides the top 3. And it's because he's been so consistent in today's racing. So good job to McNally. Ricardo Santos, he's been involved in a lot of contact today from others and by himself, and it's been a bit of a bruising race for Santos. But he has come through here in 5th place at the moment. Wasn't able to. It was looking likely he might have been able to catch McNally, but it hasn't quite turned out that way for him. But he can. He could definitely step forward from this race today. He's learned quite a lot today. He's got teammates to help him out in the future races as well. So we'll see how the FMS Fisgas Motorsport team get on in the future races. We've got Rui Sousa and Pedro Santos joining us in future races. Next time, we'll just quickly look at the schedule. Next time we are at Bathurst on the 10th of September. So do join us then. And that could be the race that Mario Zabdir wins the championship. It could be. Continuing down the order, 6th place, and the biggest gainer of the field is Maratib Ali. Great job by this driver today. 3 places gained to get himself up there. It was looking a bit bleak in qualifying with only getting 9th. He had to learn the track quite quickly. He had to get settled in quite quick as he joined very late into the server. But he got himself up into this 6th position. He's put in a very good race today. Certainly a good race for him. Lucas Toreschke, oh dear. Hadn't quite worked out for him. He hasn't really put a foot wrong himself. It might have been another driver caused him to have that damage on the front, which of course would go to the stewards after the race. But Toreschke drove well again today. He was putting the pressure on Santos at the point where he did get put into the wall. You just have to work towards the next race is all you can say about contact like that, about an incident like that. Work yourself towards the next race. Carl Smith had a bit of drama. It was looking very quiet and very lonely for him, but he had a little incident in the pits where he accumulated a drive-through penalty, and he had to take it, and then he had to fight his way back to 8th, past Gabrielle Lopez and Ben Cisco, and he did take it back, and he did take 8th position. He should be very pleased with that result there, as he had to fight really hard for it twice. One to get there in the first place, and one to get it back. Gabrielle Lopez, 4th in the championship coming into tonight, and that is partially down to participation in the championship. This is his worst result of the season, but it's another finish this season, and it's more points. He's still going to keep quite a strong position in the championship heading out of today, so he can take that. And Sham Arab on his debut is going to take a point, a sole point for 10th place through the retirement of Ben Cisco, which was looking good for him. He was looking like a pretty decent battle between him and Gabrielle Lopez, which was on and off during the race, but it hasn't quite worked out for him, and he's retired for one reason or another. Remember, he does have health issues, so he does struggle for these long races, but he loves doing them. He loves GT racing, and hopefully we see him back at Bathurst next time. So we have 6 and a bit minutes to go. 10 plus seconds between Zabdir here and De Beer. He is able to gap De Beer ever more. Oh, as he's really swinging that Ferrari around that corner there, one of the trickiest corners on the track. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier on the stream, Dubai Autodrome, it's an underrated track in my opinion. It's actually quite fun to drive. There's a lot of corners on this track which resemble other corners, like the first couple of corners resemble Interlagos, but inverted. You see the map just below the, just on the bridge in the background there. It's It's not a track you instantly recognise by its shape, but it is on the rise. It was only built in 2004, or opened in 2004, should I say. It is a Herman Tilke track. Now take that as you want. Some people don't like him, some people do. But I personally would like to see this track appear in Formula 1 as the Dubai venue. I'm not a big fan personally of the Yas Marina track. I think it's called the Yas Marina anyway. Yes, it is, yeah. It's Marina Bay in Singapore and it's Yas Marina in Dubai. Abu Dhabi. Yeah, Abu Dhabi, yeah. I would like to see this take up the UAE slot in the in Formula 1. I think it is a track that qualifies. It might be FIA Grade 2 rather than 1, but it's not too hard for tracks to go from Grade 2 to Grade 1 when they're built on such a wide open space like this track is. Normally popular with endurance racing is this track, and thus why we're here. It's the 24 Hours of Dubai, the Cancun 24 Hour, that hosts here at Dubai every January or February. We also host Touring Car Series and Open Wheel Series. But as I mentioned, they only really host their racing in the winter because it gets so hot here. Zabdir is about to lap Colin McNally. As McNally lets by Zabdir, who will start his 44th lap, and McNally his 43rd. So Zabdir has lapped everyone except the top three. He definitely won't lap Bauccio by the end of the race unless something happens to Bauccio. But it was looking a bit bleak for Zabdir at the start of the race, as we mentioned earlier. It was looking very bleak for him. But he was able to hook it up. He was able to get his head down and really, really press towards the front, having to battle with McNally, with De Beer, and passing by Bauccio for the lead was easier than the others, it's got to be said. But he was able to get back up top there, and he was able to bring it home. Once this lap's completed, he'll only have one lap to go. As out of the way gets Sham Arap. Sham Arap, who will now go 2 laps down. And completing the penultimate lap here will be Zabdir very soon. And as he gets to the line, there will be not enough on the clock to do an extra lap. Here we go, approaching the final corner here. 1 lap to go for Zabdir. He holds the fastest lap in the race as well. Both him and Rokas De Beer in the 57s. All other drivers 59 upwards. So it's been quite a gulf between these two and the others. I gave this series a go at the Spa round on round 3, and I wasn't very good. So I do realise how good Zabdir and De Beer are. As we watch Zabdir take to this final lap. Of this race. We'll head to Bathurst in 2 weeks from today for what could be the championship crowning race for Zabdir. If he can get a good race in, it'll be the championship crowning race for him. It's a tough track, is Bathurst. 90 minutes at Bathurst is going to be tricky for these drivers with so many elevation changes, difficult to overtake on. That'll be a true test for all of these drivers. Final few corners here for Zabdir. He's got about 6 corners to go, now 5 corners to go. It's been a thrilling race. The first third of this race was really exciting, with lots of battles between a lot of drivers, something we hadn't quite seen yet this season. But Mario Zabdir had to fight hard for this one, a lot harder for this one than others. And he heads around the final few corners. He's going to take a big victory, his 5th in a row. It wasn't a double, it wasn't a treble either with the fastest lap. It is a double with fastest lap and a race win, but Zabdir takes his 5th win of the season in 5 races, and now puts himself in the position where he can win the championship in the next race. Bravo to him indeed. In 2nd place coming through will be Rockus de Beer. 2nd place again for him, his 4th in a row. A strong season continues for him. He's got a bit of damage on the front there, so something's happened to him along the line somewhere. But he makes it through into 2nd place. You've got Andrea Bauccio here. Still got quite a bit of the lap to complete, but coming through in 4th place already was Colin McNally and Sham Arup to take the next point of 10th. 1 point for him. And coming through here will be Andrea Bauccio. Carl Smith comes through to finish 9th place, and Gabrielle Lopez will come through to finish 9th. Maritib Ali will finish in 6th position, and Pessoa Santos will finish 5th position. McNally has completed the race. The only one to complete the race now is Andrea Bauccio. He's about to come through to finish this race. And there we go. Bauccio comes through to finish 3rd on his debut. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this race here at the Dubai Autodrome. And I think we will shortly get the results, the end results of this race. Might take a little while for them to come through, actually, because we do have... Let me just check one thing. Let me just check that... Sham Arup, yeah, he did come across the line. He has reset. So he does get the 10th spot. And there we go. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. There's your results. Zabdir wins from De Beer, Bauccio in 3rd, from McNally in 4th, Santos in 5th on his debut, with Maritib Ali in 6th, Lucas Toreschke in 7th, from Carl Smith in 8th. Gabrielle Lopez takes 9th, and the final point taken by Arup, with Ben Cisco a DNF for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. This has been the Crest Autosport Race Room League's GT Cup here at the Dubai Autodrome. In 2 weeks from today, we'll be at Bathurst. We'll see you there. Thank you for watching, and good night.